We all meet people every day. There are some we barely notice, there are some who capture our attention briefly, and some who seem to affect us almost immediately. Susie was one of those.
Susie and I met after I left Madison, which was unfortunate because we shared that connection, and I sure would have loved to have known her when she was in Madison.
Susie to me was sunshine. She always would start a conversation by saying, "Hi, doll."
My first impression when I saw her coming in and out of Radio City, because we weren't extremely glamorous there in show development, and I thought Susie was kind of glamorous. She would come in smelling like her Chanel perfume, and she had her Gucci sunglasses, and she'd come in, "Hi, here's your coffee."
Susie I met in 1983. So I recall, I think she was 5 and I was 6. And we were doing a slideshow for AT&T. And every day we'd slip out to Basking Ridge, and every night we'd come back, eat pretzels, and of course, with all that travel, we found out the story of each other's lives and bonded instantly.
My fondest memory of Susie is September 11th, any of the last 4 years. 5 o'clock in the morning, West 79th Street. It's quite dark outside. The city is incredibly quiet. I'm incredibly tired. And Susie comes down in that Susie way with the biggest smile and says, "We're going to have a great show today."
You couldn't miss the smile. Whenever she walked in the room, she would just be grinning.
She worked a lot longer hours than I ever did. Thankfully, Greg always released everyone at a reasonable hour, but then Susie would be working all night. Then you get up and Susie's working again. And then you go to work and there's Susie working again.
I never minded working late after an event. I never minded getting there early because the mood was so light on the job. And everyone had fun. Everyone put in the extra time if it was needed. No one complained because we were doing it, for Susie partially.
I can't think of a particular story. I just remember so many conversations because the Rockefeller Center stuff when we first started working there was difficult. We'd start at 8 o'clock at night and go 4 in the morning and stuff, and Susie was always there to make sure everybody was doing okay and getting through it, and it was great. It was great. I mean, so many producers would have, just leave you with a PA and some bad catering, and she didn't have a PA. She would have Lauren, and who was her associate, and it was just, those were great times. A lot of it was cold though, and rainy as I recall. Always cold and rainy, but or snowing.
One of the things that was funny about Susie, and she was funny. I mean, she cracked up everyone, but she always was on conference calls, and luckily she was never on conference calls for me. So I knew that meant that I was in.
After over 20 years, there's a lot of newness about Susie. I'm gonna miss the silliness. I'm gonna miss working together. I'm gonna miss the snarkiness that we had for each other, towards each other. Because there were times that I worked and I'd start to talk to her like this, and she goes, "Judy, you're getting snarky." And then sometimes she would be irritable at me, and I go, "Susie, you're getting snarky." I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna really miss the care and the love and the craziness that she could put into her work.
Susie thought big. Our client's vision was never as great as the vision she and her team would bring to the event. No matter what the budget, no matter what the constraints, Susie over-delivered, and there was always an ecstatic client.
I recall that the first car show we did, we had thought about everything except catastrophic weather problems. And we had it. It poured like the devil the night that we had to erect the stands for what was going to be the showing of the cars on Sunday morning. And Susie stayed up all night, and never a complaint, and never says, "We won't get it done." It just got itself done. And that was Susie in everything.
Someone would ask her if she knew how to do something, and her instinctive answer would usually be yes. And then she would figure out how to fake it and end up pulling off whatever the project was. And one of the ways that she could do that was she was not afraid to ask for help. She was always looking for people who knew more than she did about something.
She would say that she couldn't do anything without her team, and she said part of the reason that she was successful was because she could assemble the A-team.
Susie was the most loyal employer to most of us. She had her group, you were part of her team, and every time C2 or any of the people she was working for had a job, you would get that call. It was dependable. Very few people are that loyal. Susie was.
You know, she took care of everybody. Everybody and anybody.
For years and years and years, we were, we were buddies, we were family here.
She was happiest when she was sharing happiness with other people.
It's this idea of just let's enjoy life. It's not necessarily about, of course she wanted us to have lunch. And of course she wants to work, she loved her work. But it's just, it means let's enjoy life. Let's just enjoy the simple things.
All her life, it was always sort of a source of amusement to me about how she always just bonded so closely with every pet she ever had.
She loved anything on 4 feet, everything, anything. If she could, she would have taken in 100 animals in that apartment. Now she had 3. She had 3 which she loved dearly. She had Lou, the poodle, who was certifiably insane. Nino, brilliant dachshund, really smart dog. And then her love, Armstrong, the cat.
She loved her nieces so much.
She was never more excited than when the Goyles were coming to town. And by that I mean her 3 nieces, Serena, Ellen, Carla. As Ellen got older, she started doing shows with Susie. She did Birthday Live, she did Ford, and they had a great time with that. She was a great support.
Was she a Susie in training?
We had a lot of wonderful times together. Project Zinc, Rockefeller Center. Can't even remember them all at this point. But the one thing I will remember is that she had the unique ability to make everybody feel like something after every event, party, whatever it was she was doing. And I know very few people like that.
I hope she was appreciated by those she served, because she definitely was appreciated by those who served under her.
Many of us will miss her professionally, but most of us will miss her personally. It is who she was and what she brought to every project, every relationship, every conversation. I've thought about Susie many times over the last few months. I miss the constant contact, the checking in, the true relationship. When I think about her now, I just hope that she and Bernie and Pete are up to no good, but smiling know how we all feel about them.
Thank you, Susie, for so much.
Thanks, Susie. We'll miss you.
Hi, leave me a message and I'll get right back to you. Thanks for calling. Bye.